last night.
Everybody set?
Yes.
Wait.
Check, check.
You did.
You want my initial?
Yep. Page one. Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. I'm just going to bring that one up. So.
Yeah,
She knows where you live. She knows where everybody
yeah,
lives.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I hope so.
She knows more than Google. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the regularly scheduled December the 8th meeting for the Buellton City Council. Time being 6 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Linda, if you would call the roll.
Councilmember Connolly?
Here.
Councilmember Elovitz?
Here.
Councilmember Sierra?
Here.
Vice Mayor Bauman?
Here.
And Mayor Andrews?
Here. At this time, we will have public comments for items that are not on this evening's agenda. No action will be taken on any subject that is brought for discussion, but can be set for a future date. I do not have any speaker slips. Is there anyone that wishes to speak publicly? A 3-minute. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment.
Please. One second.
Yes.
We do have
I kind of thought so. Hi, Matt.
Forewarning you.
Going to get your fingerprints first.
That's okay. My name is Matt Loudon. I am not a
Wait a
resident of
minute.
Buellton.
Just live it up there.
I am not a resident of Buellton, but I appreciate the opportunity to address the council. My wife owns and operates the laundromat at 250 West Highway 246 in Buellton. I'm here to hopefully discuss at a later time our stunning and staggering increase in our water and sewer bills. We kind of anticipated at the time that we heard that the city council was going to increase their rates. We kind of planned for like a 30% increase. Our month-to-month comparisons from our October to our November bill was 38% on the water component, 286% in our sewer bill, 450% in our capital facilities charge, which is our meter charge. Our bill went up in a total with a 5% reduction in usage, 117%. And I was just hoping that there might be enough outrage within the community, the business community, and the residences that at some time you may address with a new council the implementation of your rate schedule and your rate study. That's all I have. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, and hopefully we can move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Seeing none, we will close public comment.
Merry Christmas.
Yes. Reciprocal.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No, thank you. That's fine. All right, thank you. With that, we'll move to the consent calendar. Tonight we have 8 items on our consent calendar. Is there any questions on any of the items?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull item 5, please.
Okay. Item 5 has been pulled. Are there any motions for other action?
I can make a motion to accept items 1 through 8, except for number 5.
Okay.
I second that.
All right. Moved and seconded. If you'll call the roll for those 7 items, please.
Vice Mayor Bauman?
Aye.
Councilmember Sierra?
Aye.
Councilmember Connolly?
Aye.
Councilmember Elovitz?
Aye.
And Mayor Andrews?
Aye. Thank you. Do you want to address 5, or do you want
Well,
staff to
I-
present it? Or?
I went in to speak to staff on Tuesday, and I questioned the need for a $7,020 a year charge to maintain the easement behind Oak Tree Way?
Twin Oaks.
Twin Oaks, Oak Tree Way, Twin Oaks. And Mr. Budzinski checked into that for me.
And actually, it was Public Works Director Hess who did, and she can address the cost.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members, City Council. Just wanted to update the fiscal impact section of that staff report and let you know that the actual cost for the maintenance for that with our contractor, Valley Gardner, will be $140 per month for a total annual cost of $1,680. So for this fiscal year, it would be half of that amount because we only have 6 months left, and then we will budget accordingly during the next budget process.
And then, for clarification, is it split, is it billed then to the, are they getting a bill for it, the homeowners that authorized it? Or
No, this...
they just gave the deed for you to
They
do?
gave the city the easements to maintain the
Okay.
property.
All right.
Well, then I would like to move that we approve item number 5.
I would happily second that.
It's been moved and happily seconded to approve agenda item 5. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Sierra.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Bauman.
Aye.
Councilmember Connolly.
Aye.
Councilmember Elovitz.
Aye.
And Mayor Andrusik.
Aye. Thank you. Presentations, I'm not aware of any.
And, sir?
Get out of town notices, I'm not aware of any. Public hearings, we do not have any public hearings, is that?
Nope, no, sir.
Council member comments. Leo?
Yes, Mayor.
All right.
As we go into this new year, I hope you'll make it a priority to discuss many challenges that you'll have ahead of you. As an exiting council member serving past 4.5 years, I'd like to leave the following items for your consideration. During our contract discussions with the Chamber, I emphasized that it should be the City Council that defines what is and what isn't our economic development policy, and that you should hold staff and vendors accountable towards fulfilling those goals. If you don't define an economic vision, I think you'll be leaving it up to a first come, first served order of business. And you shouldn't hold staff accountable if they have to make decisions in a policy vacuum. No policy, no guidance. So I see 2 ways for the future. Council takes the reins, creates a policy that strives to bring in sustainable business development that can provide better jobs and fit into a rural surrounded lifestyle, and encourage the circulation of local money that's invested back into our community. The council can follow the lead of our neighboring cities and define a policy to enhance Buellton's character by defining it with unique commercial developments and business models. If you don't identify your economic policies for the future and provide the leadership to execute them, then you would, by default, be deferring those decisions to other interests which can be self-motivated and might not fit into a cohesive plan. That option will leave open to the expansion, I think, of more national chains and businesses devoted to making Buellton more of a service town to traffic on the highway and on the freeway. And without guidance, the city may very well not end up being another Anytown, USA. So I hope you will decide to take a hard look at this issue and what the community deserves, and do the hard work to make Buellton a special place to live and work. Second, I have 2 more items. I have asked during my service on council that we commit to the design and construction of a river trail. Our staff provided the beginning path by recommending we start allocating $10,000 a year for the next 5 years out of our yearly traffic funds. And I think it's a good start, but that alone I don't think would be sufficient. At that rate of investment, it would probably take roughly 100 years to accrue the funds that we'd need. Our Riverview Park is a prime example of a council that made a real commitment towards creating a special feature for the city. That commitment made Riverview Park a reality, and now it serves the community and visitors alike. I believe a river trail would do the same. It would provide a safe, beautiful outdoor travel route that all residents could use, and it would give us a real physical amenity to claim as a uniquely Buellton experience that would truly be an attraction to visitors. There's no amount of advertising dollars that can create that kind of experience, and I think that's what people really do want. So I hope that you'll take another look at that. And last on my list, when it comes to protecting the welfare of Buellton citizens, I think our number one asset has to be the senior center. The center's operations are devoted to providing physical and emotional security to residents who are challenged on a daily basis by economic and physical hardships. The center feeds elderly residents that don't have the means to secure daily nutritional requirements. Its expanded Meals on Wheels program provides breakfast through dinner meals to many residents who would otherwise go hungry. And in addition to providing food and meals, the Senior Center also assists members of the community that are in danger of losing shelter or have none, assisting members of the community to provide them with medical treatment and medications when they cannot afford it, and provides community members with needed transportation when they cannot afford it, and especially for residents who are too sick or too handicapped to secure transportation in order to get essential medical care, especially when they can only get specialized care in other cities. The center provides assistance not only to seniors, but to younger adults and to families with children. It does, for instance, provide a Meals on Wheels program to the poor families that are living in the hotels on the north end of Avenue of Flags. Every day, the center is providing security to individuals and families and children who are faced with loss of income or misfortune that would leave them in peril were it not for the fail-safe services that they provide. But the center is only able to sustain this level of service by struggling each year to raise an ever-increasing level of funding to meet its service demands. These operational and funding challenges are the job of Pam Nico, the center's director. Pam has tirelessly devoted years of time and energy to keeping the center operating, and she has done so with little or no salary at a management level that would garner her a six-figure salary in any other city. But because she sees a crucial need here in Buellton, she stays here and coordinates a multi-level organization that operates 2 businesses to raise operation funds, seeks out the assistance of grants and assistance from other organizations, and operates a Meals on Wheels program and other assistance programs throughout the year. But each year, the Senior Center is faced with the same challenge, scrambling to find funding sources. This is my concern. I do not think this scenario can sustain itself indefinitely. The center has a unique and talented director, that's true, but how long can the center sustain this juggling act? Admit it or not, the city depends on the center because without its services, the city would either have to invest substantial resources to shore up the loss of services or choose to ignore the ramifications of a loss, which would mean lives being lost, people unduly suffering, going hungry, and it would have a direct impact on the rest of the community. I think it's time to acknowledge the vital role the Senior Center plays in maintaining our community And by that, I don't mean providing them with an award. The city, I feel, needs to make the center a bona fide extension of city services, recognizing the center as a vital service provider to the community. As such, I think the council should consider how to support and expand the seniors center's expertise and consider creating a multi-year contract for the center with a guaranteed source of funding, just like we do with engineering vendors and the Chamber of Commerce. I really think you need to review priorities and figure out how you can make this happen. And in closing, I'd like to point out that in 2012, 2 years after the city sponsored the vision plan, which was concluded, and reports and direction from those discussions were provided to the city, the council voted, and that includes myself, to only accept directions from the community through the visioning plan. At that time, Councilmember King would not vote to adopt the plan, and council chose instead to merely accept it. As I said, I voted myself to accept it, and ever since I have regretted the decision. The vision plan called for adoption of very explicit policies to plan the future. The agreement that we made as council to accept rather than adopt has, in my opinion, given us, as a council, somewhat of a pass on doing much more needed work to define important goals and commitments for the community. The challenges really never end for the city and for the council. I hope this new council, and I have a lot of faith in our new council member coming forward, I hope this new council will take the time to regroup on discussing new goals and provided needed commitments to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo.
Thank you, Leo.
Thank you.
A lot of effort obviously went into that, and you're right on key with
Points.
the needs of the city.
Thank you.
I think, it's a perpetual racetrack for all communities.
That's right. It is.
Which is more important? And you've laid out 4 or 5 issues, which we would probably be able to take up one of them in sincerity, given the size of this community and the willingness of the people to be committed to doing that. It's way easier to start a program than it is to keep it going or to have it grow. And so it is a challenge, and I think the new council should work on that. Any other council comments?
Mine, go ahead.
I was just going to mention that I went to a Winterfest that was put on the avenue here by the chamber, and I was shocked, really, at how many people were there. It was a humongous turnout. Had to have been the best ever, and I thought it was an excellent event.
I totally agree. I was going to mention that. I realized, talking celebrations, last Friday we had the Channel County's quarterly organization. We have hosted them several times at round robins amongst the 25 now cities that are members. Buellton had the distinction of having the largest group there. There were 9 of us. It was great. Mayor-elect Holly and her husband.
No,
Where's Frank?
not there.
It's golfing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You
He
drove-
wasn't there.
you drove me
Yeah, I
down
drove you. Okay. Now 8 of us. Thank you. Well, good. Get that out in the
That would have
air.
been nice, but
We did have Foster Reeve, who is not here tonight. John Conley came. City manager and his wife Sandy were there.
Rosenfeld.
Public Works Director Rose Hess and Frank were there. That's correct. I did see Frank. He sat right across from us, and I attended. And it was a good event. But their town also had quite a celebration, and it was very interesting. I thought I think it's good to get out in the other communities, but we were well represented, and we remain active. And the issue last week was the cities. Santa Maria had their parade that night. Lompoc had the same thing. So certain cities had no one there, and that actually Solvang had no one there, but they were having their tree lighting, I think, that night also. So that's in the modified report I have. Thank you.
That's good.
Frank, that's right.
Well, there was a Frank there.
I think the council comments would be, I think it would, yeah, it'll be a little later then, kind of a swan song sort of a thing. But at this time, we'll go to council written communications.
None, sir.
Council
Okay.
items.
Council items. Yes?
I had a couple. First of all, I'm on the Buellton Neighborhood Watch, and there's a lot of people that are complaining about, there's a sign down at Riverview Park. It says no roller skating, no skateboarding, no bicycling. It's over by the basketball court, and I think the misunderstanding is that that's not allowed at Riverview Park at all. People are very upset that their children, people can walk dogs, but their children can't ride bikes around the area. I don't know if it needs to come back to us, if it's something, or if it's just something that you can maybe put while games are in, while court is in use. I don't know, but I've been hearing a lot of complaints about it. So if you could look at that.
And I was just going to ask the Public Works Director, was that for the whole park? Are you aware?
I don't recall.
We'll do a lot of the research on that.
The only sign that's in the photo is the one by the basketball courts, but I think people are seeing that and thinking that it belongs to the whole park.
Yeah, I think the sign needs to be removed entirely, and I'm not, of legal background, but it seems like it just is way out of place.
We'll take a look at it, and if we can address it administratively, we will. Otherwise, we can bring it back to council.
I appreciate it. They're comparing the city to Grinch right now. So I would appreciate that. I'd also, maybe in February, I've had a couple people ask questions. I'd like it brought back to council, just a discussion exactly what a city manager versus a city administrator, what those jobs are, because I've got people that are saying Lompoc has a city administrator, and what do they do that's different? And since we have a new council member coming on board, I was hoping maybe in February.
Maybe.
Councilmember Sierra, I've seen other cities have positions that are called city administrator. It's the same thing as a city manager, just a different title. Just depends on how they've decided to phrase it.
Okay.
So, for example, in Placentia, it's the city administrator, but that's the same.
The exact same duties.
Same thing.
Exact same duties.
He haven't done work for them for a little while, but the person that I work with was basically the city manager.
Exactly the same then. Okay. Well, then thank you. I will just explain that to them, that it is. And since we do have a new council member starting next month, perhaps it's time for all of us to dust off our vision plan and review it. If you could make sure that all of us have one and that Foster has it, that maybe we can get that going again. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes?
And one comment I'd like to say. As a task force member for the past 4 years, I've had conversations with Mr. Brzezinski a number of times, asking that we consider, and I'm asking council that you consider expanding the participation of the task force. We have, well, I don't know if we're going to have 1 or 2 council members this time, but we currently have had, up to now, 1 or 2 council members, 2 members from the chamber, and of course our finance director and our city administrator. And in the last meeting, there was discussion of adding another chamber member. I just think that there are more stakeholders that in the community that should be a part of it. I think for matters of transparency that the task force should issue a report after they're done and post it so people know what's going on. And maybe even consider a quarterly a time that every quarter the public would be invited so they could come and ask questions. So that's it. I just hope you'll consider that during the appointments. Thank you.
Thank you. I think getting one of the things of the Winterfest, which really made it especially enjoyable this year, we have new people who committed themselves, Bridget and Dan Cassara. I think they were, last Sunday was a very busy time, and they were everywhere.
They were wonderful.
And I think there were literally hundreds of people at the celebration with the tree lighting and the snow. I think the snow helped also. The kids really enjoyed that. And the light parade, it's really funny. I had people call and say it needs to be expanded, it needs to be better organized, and my gosh, it's a neighborhood right around the block. It was huge, bigger than it ever was, and I hope that they will continue to. Each year it seems to get bigger, but the Winterfest was a well run and it went off well. I think I would say though, for the future, just to go on record, I'm absolutely amazed nobody was hit. We have cars coming off the freeway down Avenue of Flags, and I'm thinking, I really suggested to Bobby actually that I think we need to have some maybe security or some sort of
Kyle brought that up to me this week as well, that maybe law enforcement will be involved next year because of the crowds. So yes, we will be looking at that.
Their presence at the criterion that we had, and this was totally at night, and it was. We were very fortunate, I think, not to have.
Yeah, we will look at that next year.
So, but the year has a funny way of passing by quickly. So, I don't know if we started considering it now, it would work. With that, I have no other committee reports.
I have one
All right.
committee report.
Committee report.
SB CAG met. What pertained to Buellton is that they have a project for working Highway 246. I was told it was going to be started in December. I asked for a date, and I was told that the project manager would call me. She didn't, so I talked to Mr. Beardzinski, and he got to the bottom of it for me, and unfortunately, it looks like they won't be starting the redo of Highway 246 through Buellton until January, the first part of January.
That is correct.
And thank you, Rose, for following up. It should take 155 days, and we're still hoping that they're going to start over by that Shell station so we can get that problem area cleaned up before the rest of the highway is done.
Great. I'm not aware of any other committee reports to be made. Did the library do? Okay. All right. Business item number 9, discussion of possible award of contract regarding the engineering services. Mrs. Head?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council. On the meeting of September 22nd, Council directed staff to revise the scope of work for the engineering services contract. So we segregated the work to have a plan check, a development plan check and inspection services, and then a separate general city engineering services. We were to prepare contracts with Tetra Tech for the development plan check and inspection, and M&S engineers for the city engineering services. Provided in your staff report is attachment 1, which is the revised scope of work for the development services contract, and it has the Tetra Tech contract also in there as well. And attachment number 2 is the revised scope of work for the city engineering services with M&S, and that's corresponding contract. In the actual contract language, we've modified the city standard consulting services contract to incorporate the terms of this scope of work, including the performance aspects and performance measures that we wanted included, and of course all the scope of works, including the revised scope of work and the RFP and the consultant responses work will be incorporated into the contract as well. One of the major items with the scope of work revisions is the transition period. So we have outlined in there how we will transition the private development services over the next several months. So all the existing projects, we're going to go over that between the two firms. Plans that are near plan check completion at this point will be buttoned up by M&S, so that's permit package ready to go. Inspection services will be taken over by Tetra Tech. All new projects that would come in would be given to Tetra Tech at that time. Excuse me. And we'll arrange meetings as well over the two firms to make sure the projects are handed over as well. With that, we do have the attachments I mentioned, and I believe there's also an additional modification that the city attorney has made to the contract language as well.
Thank you, Steve. So, issue was raised with regard to Section 14, which relates to confidential information and what the engineering firms can discuss with members of the public. Right now, this is a fairly standard provision that's been in the existing engineering contract for some time, and it's fairly common in other cities to see provisions like this. But what Section 14 does is it says that the engineering firm can't release confidential information to members of the public without first going through the city manager. And there's another provision which says they can't provide certain types of information, for example, declarations or letters of support or testimony at depositions to anyone else without the city manager's authorization. But there's also a clause in there that says they can't provide other information regarding the work they do. So a question's been raised whether that would prevent members of the public who are working on projects from directly addressing or contacting the engineering staff with inquiries about various things, including billing or the status of projects. And I think it's fairly clear when you read this, that was not the intent of those provisions. But just to provide some clarification, I've come up with some additions to Section 14A and 14B. For 14A, what I would propose is that we add a sentence at the very end that says, "The public domain shall include any information that would not be exempt from disclosure pursuant to a request under the Public Records Act." And it cites the government code section there. I think what that sentence would do would just clarify that the information that would be restricted from disclosure would really be information that is not part of the public domain, and then we kind of clarify what public domain means by tying it in with the Public Records Act. So anything that would be confidential under the Public Records Act would not be subject to disclosure, but other information would then be considered in the public domain. This would, I think, make it clear that people can come forward with inquiries to the engineering staff, and they don't have to necessarily go through the city manager. I think a best practice would be if the contractor is uncertain about the information they're about to release, and in that case, then they would go to the city manager just to clarify. But I think that sentence would help clarify for the public that they can make inquiries to these engineering firms. In subsection B, 14B, I'd like to modify the language where it says currently or other information. And what I would propose we do is we say or other discovery requests, and then have a semicolon, or and then add the phrase or otherwise disclose confidential information. So rather than say that they can't disclose the broad phrase or the broad term of other information, we make it clear that what we don't want them doing is participating in the discovery process in a lawsuit without letting the city manager know, or providing confidential information on their own without letting the city manager know. And again, this would make it, I think, a little more clear that individuals and firms can approach our contractors if they have basic questions about their projects and about billing. We don't necessarily have to have approval from the city manager in advance, and I think that would be consistent with what the practice has been. But I think adding that language, that clarifying language to the contract, I think will, help clarify any issues that the public might have as we go forward with these two new engineering firms.
Thank you.
Are you satisfied?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's Steve or Mark. I've been concerned about the liability insurance, what amounts we are asking. Are we asking the same amount for both these firms?
Yes.
Or,
That is correct.
okay, but because there's an imbalance in each of their responsibilities, are they both at $8 million or $2 million?
I believe it's 1 million.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that we have the golf course providing $2 million insurance. We have our waste management reporting at multi-million. I think they're $5 million. It seems like an inadequate amount should an issue occur with all of the things we have going on in the city.
Go ahead.
The liability rates are relative to the exposure occurred by their activity. So someone that's handling solid waste and trash and driving these large trucks through the street and creating collection with big equipment and machinery is going to have a higher exposure of liability than someone who's drawing plans or issuing permits. So there's a difference in the amount of insurance.
And the insurance that we're requiring is standard industry practice for this type of work for the engineers.
Everybody's comfortable with that, I'll accept it. It seems low for the amount of exposure the city ultimately has.
I would agree with that.
With I do not have any speaker slips for item 9. Do you have any other council comments?
I had one.
Okay.
On page 73, B2, 1D, I was just,
Hold it. B2
on page 73.
Right.
And D is at the very top. I brought it up to Mr. Beardzinski. I just thought it was odd that under general services is to think creatively, unconventionally, and/or from new perspectives. I would hope that both the firms do that. I don't know that it needs to be in the contract that they must think.
Seemed like that would be hard to determine who was more
Just seemed a little odd to me.
innovative or creative.
Yeah.
This section, these are languages and terminology that's pulled out of the RFP. So that's what this section is.
Is that what that was?
These pages are from our scope of work, from our request for proposals. So that's what the language is for. That's not a contract language, but this is incorporated into our contract.
Okay.
So that's just,
Okay.
it's part of the...
Okay. Just a little unusual.
But again, could our contractors be held to that they're not being innovative enough?
Call them on the
or
carpet.
Creative enough? Hope it's understood that we need a little more than that to violate the contract for the sake of the termination agreements being put into action. Okay. A quantitative,
It's
maybe.
vague.
You probably
It's very
like a
vague.
quantitative.
Pretty
thing.
ambiguous is what it is, but
Yeah.
it wasn't able to box it off.
Vague and ambiguous. Right? I do not have any other comments. Do we have any request for action? Or Anybody want to?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the city engineering services contract with M&S Engineers and the development plan check and inspection services contract with Tetra Tech, authorize city manager to execute the contracts on the city's behalf, and direct staff to implement transition of development services over the next several months.
May I just, before there's a second, just clarify that that would be with the amended language?
With the new wording.
Thank you.
Please, thank you.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Sierra.
Aye.
Councilmember Connolly.
Aye.
Councilmember Elements.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Bauman.
Aye.
And Mayor Andrusik.
Aye. Welcome aboard, Tetra Tech and M&S. Thank you for being willing to
Staying
share.
with us.
City Manager's report.
Honorable Mayor, members of City Council, at your next meeting on January 12th, we will have the Avenue Flag specific plan finally for you. We're finishing up the draft so we can get the final direction to start the environmental review and get that completed. And that will implement one of the vision goals from the vision plan. On January 26th, we will have the RV parking ordinance back. So those are the two date certains that I have at this point for the January meetings.
Thank you.
Live Oak Lanes, we're continuing with finishing up the environmental studies, so hopefully by the end of the month those will be completed. We can start the environmental studies and get it to Planning Commission in the first quarter of next year. Commons project is also getting their environmental studies done, and they have not resubmitted yet, whereas the Live Oak Lanes has resubmitted. So we can be a little quicker on Live Oak Lanes, and then the Commons will follow shortly thereafter. And if you've seen a big truck running around town by the storm drains, it's been doing the storm drain cleaning, and they'll be doing the major ones up in the hills above Riverview. Valley Dairy, and getting those taken care of. And we're inventorying how much is coming out of the different areas since it has been done for so long. And in each year when we inventory and can clean each year, we can see which ones are clogging the most as opposed to the areas that we really don't need to look at every year. So because it hasn't been done for a few years, so now we'll have an inventory and a baseline of which storm drains get clogged more than the others.
Okay.
And that is it for me.
Seeing no further agenda items, we will stand adjourned at 6:42.
Quick meeting.
Not a wet eye in the house. Anticipating. We will move to our special meeting that we have, and with that we'll ask Mrs. Sierra to come.
Not yet.
Yeah,
Not yet.
Not yet.
I open it.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're the mayor.
Yeah, got a ways to go.
Okay.
A little ways to go.
I'd like to call to order the special meeting of the Buellton City Council for the items discussed in our agenda packet. I don't think we need to do the Pledge of Allegiance again. Or does anyone have any problem with that? We have had a few new people.
It's on the agenda.
Frank would, okay. I guess we didn't hear from Frank. So if you will please stand for the agenda. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess you should call the roll.
All right. Councilmember Connolly.
Here.
Councilmember Elements.
Here.
Councilmember Sierra.
Here.
Vice Mayor Bauman.
Here.
And Mayor Andrusik.
Here. Is there any reordering of the agenda?
No, sir.
I do not have any public comment requests. Anyone wish to speak? Without any, we will close the public comment. The consent calendar consists of item, I think it's item 1.
Yep.
Do you want to give the report?
Oh, well, sure. Well, it's on consent, so it's just the resolution 1625.
Thank you.
And just approving that certified election
Certified
results.
election. Do we have a motion to accept the certification?
All motion to accept the certification.
Thank you, Leo.
You're welcome.
Second?
I'll second.
Dan is seconded. Please call the roll.
All right, Councilmember Olivets.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Bauman.
Aye.
Councilmember Connolly.
Aye.
Councilmember Sierra.
Aye.
And Mayor Andrusik.
Aye. Council items, possible action. That's scary. The oath of office of the newly elected officials. Mayor Holly Sierra and Councilmember Foster Reef, who has already been given. Do you want to make any comment about that?
No, Foster came in, he had a planned vacation that he planned months in advance of tonight's meeting, so we did the oath of office before he left for vacation, and he's
Right.
all sworn in.
Appreciate that.
So we will swear Holly in, and we'll be good.
Okay. Do you want to do that now?
We will. Down here. Sure. Okay, raise your right hand, please. And all you have to do is say, I do, at the end. Okay, do you solemnly affirm that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that you take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you are about to enter. I do. Very good. Congratulations. Our first elected mayor.
Kind of nice.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Kind of nice. Okay, now we change seats.
Now we'll change.
Now we have.
You want to take a couple of minutes? I don't think we need a break. Anybody want a break?
Yeah, 45 minutes.
Want 5 minutes?
No, we're fine.
Switch her out.
She's got the...
We should say elected, huh?
It works the same. I think it works. All righty, well, don't go too far.
Random just use his old.
Let's see.
There's Councilmember.
Mr. Andrusik,
Switch her on.
before you get too comfortable,
Should you give him the mayor one?
we have a gift for your service as mayor for the last year. I've learned an awful lot, and I truly respect your commitment to our community. You truly do care about our beautiful town, and the council, city staff would like to present you with a token of our appreciation.
Thank you.
It's not too heavy.
That's right. It'll fit in the big. It is always a pleasure to serve as mayor. We have a wonderful community. We do a lot of things with the size of our community. We've made some huge commitments, and I think we're going to see challenges in the new years. We had some requests tonight for new attention, and I think that we will be able to work together to achieve consensus and live within our budget. That's been our goal, and the folks with the water and sewer rates have been being very concerned, and I said I think we're being very proactive, and we aren't intending to gouge anybody. It is what it is. It costs what it costs, and we must operate on a level basis, live within our means. So it's been a pleasure serving, and I look forward to 2 more years on the city council.
Good job, Ed.
Thank you, John.
Open your present.
Oh, open it. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say. I'm gonna hold it
Need a
towards
pocket
your,
knife? That's
a little clip on.
Does the bow
Does the bow undo it?
Yeah, it's a long string on it.
Mark's good at opening these. There we go.
Presents.
A cross. Right. that's a lot better than a gavel and a monogrammed pen. Thank you very much.
Mountain pen, too.
Fountain pen. Oh, thank you. I love fountain pens. Okay, very good. Done that. Well, I won't see many.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Flatter me with like.
We'll discover that at
One you
another
can't take on a plane.
later date.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Can't
Thank
take
you.
a fountain pen,
That,
huh?
that's
I like,
no, I know.
thank you.
That's a weapon right there.
All righty, and this one is a lot harder to do. Councilmember Elovitz. For 4.5 years, you and I have worked together, and our city finances have never been in such good shape. And I truly appreciate that was one of your top priorities, and you worked very, very hard to help bring transparency and understanding to how our city operates. And your commitment to this community, that's going to be hard sitting here without you. You've given us some direction, and I hope that we'll do you proud in the
Thank
future.
you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This one is for you.
Thank you. I guess I have to open it. I know what this
Quicker.
Yeah, he did it quicker than you.
You-
is. I thought about
Well, we're not there yet.
it. This has a new one. These things are tricky, aren't they? They're just my size, too. Great. Excellent. Thank you very much. It's been an honor serving the city. I mean, it's 4 years, actually 4.5 years, was a big block of time in my life, and I don't think going back that I would do anything different. It really is terrific being a part of the whole process, and quite an education. I feel you guys have been excellent to work with. I mean, we've had our odds, obviously, back and forth, but that's part of being, on a council. But I really have appreciated all of you on the ups and downs and everything in the middle that we've done. So thank you. Thank you all. Really, thank you. And staff, you guys have taught me a lot. I mean, basically, you've all been my teachers. And I feel like, I think, hopefully, I've learned quite a bit about operations and priorities, finances, I mean, the whole enchilada. I really appreciate all your time that you offered, provided, all your patience with some of my questions. But it's been great. Thank you all very much. Thank you. John. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I will now vacate my seat for Foster.
You can take his,
Goes to Foster.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Leah?
There's your
Here we go.
nameplate.
Oh, I get to bring that, okay, great.
Out of your door.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I will. Thank you, sir.
That's yours. That's yours.
I'll give you another.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'll just, Steve.
It's Leo's water.
Okay.
Neither is
You can go.
All righty. Next on our agenda is appointment of vice mayor.
Oh, good. I'll need that. Thank you.
I guess we'll wait until Councilmember Andrejsik. Yeah. Appointment of vice mayor. I think our outgoing mayor might do a good job. Councilmember Andrejsik, unless anybody has any other options.
I would be honored seeing that I would probably be an alternate for some of the committees you have been in the past. I would appreciate that assignment.
Okay.
I'd like to nominate Ed Andrusik for Vice Mayor of Buellton.
I can second that.
All righty. Do we need to vote
I
on
think-
each one of them, or is it just consensus?
It appears that there's a consensus.
Okay,
That's
terrific. Congratulations, Vice Mayor.
Thank you.
Our next action
switch them later.
is
Switch now? Yeah.
consideration of appointments to the Planning Commission. Mr. Beardzinski.
Honorable new elected mayor and members of the city council. The terms of office for planning commissioners Foster Rife and Dan Heady expire this month, and as you're aware, Foster is now on the council. Dan Heady has indicated that he wants to re-up for the full 4-year term as planning commission and submitted his application, and resident Morgan McLaughlin has also submitted application for planning commission. So we have 2 vacancies and we have 2 applications, and they are both in the audience tonight. So council should interview the applicants and make appointments to the planning commission.
Terrific. Do we have any questions for staff before I open this up for public?
No?
Open it to the public?
I don't have any
No questions?
questions.
I'm opening it up for a public hearing. Does anybody from the public have any comments, questions? I'm closing public hearing, bringing it back to council. Any questions for our applicants?
I think they're very visual in the community. They're both very approachable. I think any time we've had any question with Dan, Morgan is always available with the job that she's currently in. So I think we have a very strong working relationship, and their willingness to serve is appreciated. And I would
Okay.
move that we...
Okay. Quick question to Dan. You're enjoying it. It's been a while.
Yes. You know, I didn't think I would, but I wanted to come back, and being retired, I have more time. I visit the places more than I used to when I was on the planning commission, and now I have the time to go visit them and understand them. So yeah, I am.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that. And Morgan, you know what you're getting yourself into, huh?
I've attended quite a few planning commission
I
hearings.
would imagine you
Not
have.
specifically to City of Buellton, but I'm very familiar with.
I would imagine you have. Your business being on Avenue of Flags,
It may
that
be-
won't preclude her from being able to participate in any of that?
We'll have to approach that on a case-by-case
Okay.
basis. And that's usually what we do with planning commission meetings whenever there's a project being considered.
They just recuse
We check the
themselves.
map and see whether or not that they would be required to recuse themselves.
Terrific. Well, I can't think of 2 better people to have on our planning commission. And again, we do appreciate your service because it is time-consuming. Any other questions for them, or?
No question. I just think that we're very fortunate to have 2 seats and 2 incredibly qualified people to fill them, and I'm very happy about that.
And you're in agreement?
I'm fine.
Welcome aboard. Thank you very, very much.
Consensus.
There we go.
No agenda package yet, but...
That's next week, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So, next, business item number 4, appointment to boards, commissions, and committees. I'm going to call them out, mention who had the job previously. If anybody wants to jump in, I do have Foster sent Mark a list of committees he's interested in, so when that comes up, I'll mention it, and we'll figure out who we're gonna give what to. First one is Central Coast Water Authority. Councilmember Andrusik has served on that. Is anybody else interested in doing it? Or I know Councilmember Andrusik would like to continue that. That works? Yeah. Okay, that's yours.
Thank you.
Library Advisory.
There's an alternate as well.
Oh, and the alternate. Okay.
And I think that's one of Foster.
Now, Foster did say he'd like to be an alternate. I have been the alternate, and I have no problem. Were you the alternate this year?
I have been before, but
He has been
He
alternate
is.
last year.
Okay, I was
yes.
the one before. Do you have any problems
That's
with?
fine.
Okay, so we'll give the alternate.
Foster will be the alternate.
Foster is the alternate. Library Advisory Committee, that's been you,
Yep.
Councilmember Bauman. Would you like to continue that?
I would love to continue that.
All righty. Santa Barbara County Association.
We have an alternate,
An
which is
alternate on
which
that
is
one,
you.
too?
Yes.
Oh, that is me. I would love to continue being the alternate for the library.
So moved.
Do we have a blank sheet?
Yeah,
I'm trying to look
I
at
was
this
writing,
and that.
it's on page 17.
Thank you. That's what I'm trying to look at here and not.
Yeah.
Okay. All righty, thank you. Okay, so then we have the Santa Barbara County Association of Governments. That one I've been doing for a while. I'd like to continue it. That works?
You're doing a good
Okay.
job.
Yep.
And Foster said that he would like to be the alternate. The vice mayor usually is the alternate, and it has been for quite a while. So I think,
Personally think that should be Ed.
Ed, yeah.
Okay. And I think,
And the Air Pollution Control District is part of SBCAG. They meet on the same day, and we've done that the same way, where I've done that, and my alternate for CAG has been the alternate for APCD as well.
right.
Okay. California Joint Powers Insurance Authority, that one Councilmember Andrasik has been doing. And Mr. Councilmember Connolly, you were the alternate?
Yeah, I'd like to continue as that.
Okay, we're going to keep
That's
that one. Is that all right with you?
I'm more than-
Okay. League of Cities voting delegate is usually the mayor and vice mayor.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buellton Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, ex officio member. Mr. Andrasik, Councilmember Andrasik, has been doing that. Foster Reif has asked that he could be
fine.
there. Is that okay with
I
Foster?
think Foster,
Okay.
that he's certainly applied himself well in other issues, so Foster.
Okay.
The Multi-Jurisdictional Solid Waste Tax Group, Councilmember Andrasik has done it. Councilmember Elovitz was his alternate. I don't really see that on here, but perhaps we could do Councilmember Andrasik, or Vice Mayor Andrasik, and Councilman Reif.
Well, that would be fine, and I think, it's right on the, I think the agreements are being drawn. Mark, you want to comment? I mean, this may be a moot point. We have not had a meeting for 2 years.
That's correct, and they're moving forward on the conversion technology, and
And I think the council...
Marburg is going to sign on behalf, so...
Right. I think we've...
But I think we should still have the two at this
Council.
point.
All right, so it would be, did you want to do, would Foster, fine if Foster wants to be the representative. I'll be happy to be the representative. I mean,
We usually have two,
historically,
so...
Yeah.
so the two of us could serve.
Okay.
I don't-
The Economic Development Task Force, Councilman Bauman and Councilman Elovitz have been on it. I would like to serve on it, and so would Foster,
And so would I.
and so would you. Okay, then, well, there's two of them. I think you should continue.
Thank you.
I agree.
And then myself or Foster.
So do we have to decide? I mean,
He's not here.
It sounds like
You
you would
lose,
like
you
that.
snooze.
So with that,
Okay.
he'll be
So
here
that
at
would
the
be
next
you and then
organizational
myself.
meeting.
Yeah, I'd plan on excluding you.
Well done, Holly.
You snooze. Cities.
Cruise.
You cruise, you lose.
Yeah,
That's good.
cruise you.
The City School District Joint Use Committee, Councilmember Connolly's done an excellent job on that one.
like
I'm
to
hoping you'll continue. Thank
Please.
you.
Good.
The Public Visioning Steering Committee, Councilmember Andrasik and Councilmember Elovitz have been on it. Foster also put that down as something he'd like to do.
I mean, is there another
Is there anybody?
person to,
I had
Would
an
you like
interest,
to
but
do
I
that
think-
one?
pardon me?
I think Foster would be good on that, actually.
Okay, so, and you still want to continue that one, Vice Mayor? Or do you want to give it to Mr. Bauman?
If you would like to.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay, so we have Dan and Foster on public visioning. Central Coast Collaborative on Homelessness, I've been doing that for a couple years. Does anybody else have any desire to
Is there
step
an
in?
alternate?
There is no alternate. It meets quarterly. Did you want that, or do you want it?
No, you
meets-
could have it, that's
Okay,
fine.
that's mine then. And the Association of California Water Agencies and Joint Powers Insurance Authority. Vice Mayor Andrasik has been doing that one for a while and been doing a very good job, and I don't see that on Foster's list.
Okay.
So,
Be happy to serve there.
all righty. The other one I didn't see on here, I don't know if it's a council-appointed, our green team. I've been serving on that one, and you
Yeah,
were
that's
on
not
that
an
one.
official, that's just
That's-
more informal type
Okay,
of thing.
so we're not going to worry about that. All righty. It looks like we've gone through our agenda, even quicker than you got through the first agenda. I hereby
Missed that.
I'm closing the meeting tonight, and we'll have our next meeting on January 12th. Thank you, everybody. Happy